Chris Vincent's playing blue-white-red.
Chris has just mulliganed down to 6. Is that an Azorius Guildgate?
No, it's old art hallowed fountain.
Tectonic Edge into Wall of Omens.
It's going to be either control deck or possibly a Kiki Jiki deck. Control, seeing Wall of Omens.
Well, I see a Sphinx's Rev in Chris's hand.
So probably blue-white-red control.
So it's blue-white-red versus Bant. Jeskai control versus Bant control.
Not much
Gareth
action
going to
so
charge
far.
up his land.
But we see a Sun Titan in hand packed up with a hell of a lot of counter spells.
Hallowed Fountain tapped and getting a turn. I think both players are okay with this game going long, really.
Yeah. With Gareth having a Celestial Colonnade and Chris not, that gives an assumption that probably he's got slightly better going to the late game.
Yeah, and Gareth charging up the land every turn is just netting mana, really, when nothing's happening.
Which could lead to a quite early Sun Titan.
Yeah.
Unless Calciform Pools gets hit by Tectonic Edge, which...
Yeah, I'm looking at Chris's list, and it's just straight up blue-white-red control.
Yeah.
There's no Kiki, there's a Gideon. Cleeks, Resto...
Storm Breath in sideboard. Interesting going Storm Breath over Thundermaw Hellkite. I suppose with less Birds of Paradise flying around, Thundermaw is weakened, and especially there's more paths, then Storm Breath's probably better.
Yeah.
Now we've got Gareth's Jace, Architect of Thought, 2 Sphinx's Revelation, Kitchen Sphinx,
Think Twice,
Spell Snare Path, Cleek, Sun Titan, Snapcaster the usual. A Thrun in sideboard, which should be pretty handy against any blue-white-red control. Maybe that's what the green splash is for, since I can't see anything other than Think's main board for the green.
Not much really going on in these early turns in control versus control. Pretty much just drawing cards, getting set up, making land drops. Standard early game control mirror.
Until one of them flashes in a Cleek.
You can't do anything by discarding the cards, unfortunately.
Oh, fair. Okay.
If I say move to discard, it's like your last chance.
Just a big clarification on how
Chris
priority
Vincent
works.
has already moved to discard, meaning he's obviously stuck on lands, showing why he's not cracking his Flooded Strand, because he wants to have more of a chance.
By 0.001.
Something like that.
You leave your playmats slightly over back today. No way, because you're out of shot.
Just getting the mats more on screen. Chris discarding a Spell Snare, not expecting any 2-drops and
Well,
any
Snapcaster Mage, I'm
importance.
assuming.
Cool.
Which, although it does counter the 4 mana leaks and 2 remands. Wait, they can't hear what we're saying, can they? Because otherwise you're just telling one of them each other's deck lists.
Yeah, when the door's open, then maybe, yeah.
I imagine, since nothing's happened early, that they have a basic idea of each other's decks.
Although Chris does have 4 Spell Snare in the deck, so maybe he's got a second one in hand.
Possibly. Could try and get a look at that.
So the first bit of action's going on.
Chris trying to remand the Kitchen
Finks gets Spell Snared. The life total's changed now to in Gaz going up.
Kitchen Finks is 2 life, yes.
Yeah.
22. Chris going to play another Wall of Omens, hopefully try and draw a land off this.
Which seems that those 2 Wall of Omens are kind of nullifying anything that the Finks could be doing so far.
Sure.
And it's a land.
Still no red, but the Flooded Strand can easily be cracked. What's red has Chris got in the deck? Lightning Bolt.
Yes, he's got the Steam
Just
Fence and the
Lightning
Sacred
Bolt.
Foundries.
No, and 1 Electrolyze, so no Lightning Helix.
Storm Breath in the sideboard.
Storm Breath, Counterflux in sideboard.
Yeah.
No Keranos.
No Keranos. Molten Rain, however, being crossed out.
There's going to be a 3 of, maybe he scouted around, saw Little Tron and decided to pump up Celestial Purge, Wrath of God and Storm Breath Dragon instead. Maybe saw a load of junk or Abzan. Correct me when I say junk.
I believe you can use either term. People understand both, right?
Yeah. A ghost quarter from Gareth.
Really racking
Does
up
he want
those
to use that on the
marks.
tectonic edge to stop his celestial colonnade from being killed later on? I think
It
that's
is
probably
possible
the correct play
if he wants to try and
because
play the long
he
game.
can't cut anyone off. He's unlikely to be able to cut him off any colour. So
I think we do need to roll that much more on, even though it bangs when it closes, because it's possible to
So Sun Titan coming down from Gareth. Not much that Chris can do about this.
I'm surprised the ghost quarter hasn't hit the tectonic edge because
It's possibly just
once it gets
doesn't really care when he's got Sun Titan in his
yeah,
deck.
but
He
should
can just
he go?
bring back.
Should his opponent go path your Sun Titan, tech edge your celestial colonnade, then Gareth's really got no gas going on whatsoever. With Chris having a restoration angel in hand and a clique and a snapcaster, so
Yeah, Gareth is holding up counter magic for this. He's going to crack fetch at the end of Chris's turn.
just lining up a Sphinx's Revelation there. Maybe
For
waiting for a bit
2.
longer. Maybe a 2 isn't the best, but he's got a hell of a lot of counters in hand. Cryptic Command, I think a Snapcaster, Clique.
Getting a Breeding Pool. He was giving away the green, although Temple Guard
Temple
gave
Guard
that
gave
away.
that away.
Sorcery.
Tectonic Edge. And it looks like he's going to take Edge. Land of Chris.
give you breast of any life change.
I'm assuming that one of them will be below 20 due to fetch lands and shocks.
Oh yeah, Gareth fetched. He's at 21.
Yeah, fetch.
Chris hasn't fetched yet.
No.
And it's going to be a Resto Angel.
Assuming it's going to bounce a Wall of Hands?
Flicker.
Flicker.
Get the ETB trigger and draw it. If it
Isn't the
manages
correct
to
terminology
resolve.
blink? Because Flicker assumes Flicker Wisp, which is exile at end of turn.
Yeah.
I think it's getting remanded, it looks like. It's
Yeah. Once again, there's not much Chris can do about that with his current hand.
especially once he's tapped out.
No,
Oh, what we
attack
call
for
them, a
6,
Flooding
bring back the Tectonic
Oh, and,
Edge, and Chris is just going to
yeah.
scoop to that. Getting tech edged every turn. Wow,
Need to.
that was kind of rough. Chris missing land drops and control versus control. The first person to miss a land drop really is down and out.
Especially with the mulligan.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, okay, I'll have a look at Gareth's.
Well,
deck
Gareth's
list.
already put down.
I'm assuming he's definitely going to bring in Thrun.
Negate.
Negate, almost certainly. Does anyone know the Oracle text of Rule of Law? I don't think I've seen that card much before. Well, what's Gareth, I believe. What about Spellskite, do you think? Possibly.
He saw the red from Chris's deck, so it's reasonable to assume that he
Also
has.
to protect some of your creatures. He's bringing in
Electrolyze
2
on
Spellskite, Thragtusk, 2 Negate, and a Thrun. What do you think Chris will bring in from sideboard?
I don't think Gareth will bring in the spell, guys.
Yeah, looking at his sideboarding there, and he seems to be cutting Path to Exile.
Chris
Mana
is
Leak.
probably going to bring in the Stormbreath Dragons just because of how resilient they are against Gareth's
There's
deck.
very little Gareth can do against the Stormbreath Dragon.
Negate, Counterflux, just to have the final word. Possibly the 4th Vendilion Click. Is that the 4th?
Third,
He's only got
maybe.
one in the
He's got 2.
sideboard.
One sideboard, 2 mainboard.
Okay, so yeah, bring in the 3rd V-Click. Possibly a Batterskull.
You know what, the Wrath of God, definitely if he sees Thrun,
Yeah.
he'll bring it in 3rd game, but
I'm surprised there
unsure.
isn't a Supreme Verdict in there instead of Wrath of God.
Well, due to Delver being dropped and more junk, you're less likely to be countered, so you want to be killing Thrun as much as possible due to it being a large threat against any blue-white-red deck.
There isn't even a Supreme Verdict in the main board.
Wrath of God generally does the job better than Verdict. From
Yeah.
that
I find it's always nice to have at least one though.
Yeah, especially against a deck with blue and Thrun, it's kind of, would you rather make sure you're definitely killing creatures or attempt to kill Thrun? Because, especially with Chris's not being able, very unlikely to be able to outrace 4 more damage per turn, I doubt. I think a Wrath is generally better in that position, but whether I bring it in this game, having only seen Sun Titan and Kitchen Finks, which are both very good against Wrath effects.
Yeah. He's probably got reason to assume that Gareth is running standard control creatures such as Feet Snapcaster, Angel.
With the bolts, paths, rumps, electrolyzers, I doubt you need to be bringing in
You don't
rats,
really need
especially
extra.
seeing as the only creatures you've seen in Game 1 are Kitchen Finks and Sun Titan, which you don't want to be wrathing a Kitchen Finks, and you don't want to go Wrath and then your opponent play a Sun Titan afterwards.
True. Alright, people looking at starting 7. Chris probably choosing to be on the play. Plenty of lands.
You see a Cryptic Command, Celestial Colonies, that.
Trying it.
I think that's a
Shocklands.
Vendilion Clique, you can see.
Coloured Fountain Island.
Do you see what they sided out? Okay, I'm assuming, so both players will have sided out some number of paths. Probably Gaz will side out both his main board Supreme Verdict, and I saw him take out a couple of mana leaks.
Gideon
Chris,
Shearer probably maybe out of the board for Chris.
Gideon, I quite like Gideon in this in this matchup because there's very little ways of dealing with it, with the only removal.
Well, with Gareth taking out the paths, yeah.
Well, yeah, so I doubt Gideon is coming out because it can hurt very quickly. Maybe
Coloured
Wall of
Fountain
Omens coming out. Restoration Angel, possibly.
I just like the value you can get from
Maybe
Restoration.
sort of Spell Snare, maybe trim a couple of them. Trim the Electrolyze due to no 1 toughness creatures. Electrolyze being seeing a lot less play due to Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarch seeing less play in their decks.
Alright, Gareth's going to go down to 19, fetching up a Temple Garden.
Tapped. Chris has got 2 mana open for anything that might be, so he can counter any spells Gareth might be casting. He has an
Not
island.
running any mana leaks, is Chris? Just
No.
Romans and Cryptics.
And 4 spell snares
And 4
rather
spell
than no
snares.
mana leaks. Interesting.
Counterflux on the draw for Chris.
Very good in this matchup. Because
He's got a Remand, Cryptic Command, Spell Snare, and Counterflux, and a Plate,
You
it
see.
seems like.
is there any way of someone checking what both players have sideboarded out? So I'm just going and looking at their sideboards.
Was that another fetch for a breeding pool?
I think so, yeah.
You just
Practical
shuffled, so, yeah.
Strand for reading pool, so Gareth down to 18.
He's going to end the tap.
This game seems to be favouring Chris so far.
He's making land drops. It's always a start.
I think if
He's
the
going to
game
take 2.
goes...
He's going to go down to 16.
So Gareth down to 16. I think you can be quite liberal with your life totals in this matchup. But a
That's
Thrun,
a Thrun. Wow, turn 4 Thrun. This is going to put Chris straight to the test.
Chris having a Counterflux, a Spell Snare, a Cryptic Command. Nothing you can really do about that. No Wrath of God in hand, I don't think. Bouncing his breeding pool, end step, and drawing.
Possibly trying to draw the Wrath of
Chris
God.
doesn't actually
anticipating
have the
Thrun.
mana to cast Wrath of God at the moment. Oh no, he does have Plains in hand, but he's choosing not to play it yet. Going for Mountain instead.
He's just holding a lot of counter spells and removal in his hand. It's just
But-
difficult to control matchups, but he's got nothing to use it on.
Yeah, with Chris dropping down to 16 from 1 hit of Thrun.
As long as Gareth pretty much just keeps his shields up, he's pretty much already got this.
Yeah.
Chris going down to 16 from
If
front.
Gareth can hold up into some number of counter spells for
Breeding pool coming in tapped.
Snapcaster Mage, targeting. No targets. I think
He's just casting Snapcaster.
Using
He
as a
can try to get Cryptic, but he can't cast him.
He's not using any chump blocking, just casting a Snapcaster Mage, hoping to be able to win some kind of race. So Gareth,
Going to path the Snapcaster. And he's going to get remanded.
So,
Really wants this Snapcaster.
Gareth does have a Mana Leak in hand, but
Choosing not to use it.
well, so Gareth does drop down to 14. And Chris is just passing the turn.
Is Chris just trying to race Gareth and hopefully try to draw a Sphinx's Rev when Gareth is tapped out for something?
Well,
And
Gareth,
just try to win that way?
that he's also got a Restoration Angel in hand, so Chris may be taking 7 every turn, which could prove deadly unless we may see a Jace Architect of Thought hit the battlefield.
Well, there isn't really a need for Gareth to overextend.
I don't think you need a Jace Architect of Thought. I think it's better to hold
the
up
front is
the counter
fine.
spells and play a Restoration Angel at end step.
Just play a land every turn and keep hitting for 4.
Yeah, 4 a turn beats 2 a
Chris is
turn.
at 12.
Is he going to path the Snapcaster again this turn, or is he going to... Yeah.
And Snapcaster going to get pathed when it says on the attack to Gareth.
Is Chris choosing to negate? Yes. So,
Is Gareth going to choose to fight over
maybe
this one? Or
does
just
Chris
happy
have
with a
any
Woodfall?
a large number of burn in hand, do you know?
Alright, so Gareth is going to take 2 from the Snapcaster, go down
Yeah,
to 12
down to
as
12,
well.
so...
Huh.
You go.
Gareth is actually winning this race.
But
Managed to get the life totals
with
even.
Chris having red, you can never completely
Well,
know.
I believe Gareth...
Gareth is holding a large number of counter spells.
Yeah, and he's also got the potential to draw into Kitchen Finks.
Yeah, 2 Jace Architect
Which
of
is-
Thought now.
Probably what he's considering the Jace for. Run out the Jace, minus it, try and get Kitchen Finks. But Chris is holding up
spell
counter
snare.
magic.
So... Is that Cleek in hand, is it? No, it's a Snapcaster Mage. Cryptic Command for Chris.
Foil
Still-
Cryptic Command.
Choosing to attack with Snapcaster again, not holding any chump blockers.
Is Gareth going to... Yep,
Path
path
again.
again! I believe Gareth also has another path.
finally-
This one resolves. Oh,
Ooh,
does it?
Or does it? No.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Chris choosing not to fight over the
And
third
searching out,
path.
what do you think? Probably an island? Maybe a plains?
I see.
Yeah, island.
Just because of how intensive his hand is with blue. So he's got Cryptic Command, Spell Snare.
So you say you're building a blue-white-red modern. Is it similar to Chris's list?
It's fairly similar, yeah. I run less Spell Snares, however.
Yeah, with
And I
my
don't
blue-white-red
really get
list,
in.
I run 2 spell snares. I think I've got 1 Mana Leak, which I'm considering cutting.
Resto Angel at the end of Chris's turn. Ow.
Sure.
Choosing not to activate the Resto Angel's ability.
Well, there's very little value out of blinking Thrun.
You never know.
Or the Restoration
Cryptic
Angel is
Command
getting
in
Cryptic
Gareth's main phase are
to
upkeep.
tap.
Tap and
because-
draw, I assume.
I think Gareth is choosing to...
2 mana left.
He's reaching for his mana, so I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of...
Possibly Mana Leak, but then
He's got
Chris has the opportunity to
possibly
use that spell.
Snapcaster for another counter spell. No, just Mana Leak. And it's getting spell snared. So now, we could Snapcaster Mage. No, being tapped. But with Chris using to spell snare, the Mana Leak means that the Snapcaster Mage from Gareth is almost certainly hitting the battlefield.
Well, Chris had to use the spell snare somewhere. There aren't many things that he can hit. He can hit Remand or Snapcaster.
Pathing the Restoration Angel.
It's going to warrant a response.
I think, no. Choosing, I'm assuming, maybe an island. Yeah, as many blue sources as possible from both of these players.
You got to keep up that counter magic.
Yeah, I think in this matchup, counter magic is particularly important due to the small amount of threats. That Thrun is certainly one of the threats.
So
With that Snapcaster Mage from Gareth, it'll be a 2-turn clock.
difference between Vance and Jeskai being shown here. The green bring in front of the table, and red just bring in counterflux, which helps in the control mirror, but it doesn't help against another spell that can't be countered.
Yeah, I think maybe Bant Control is actually going to be particularly... We never know, it might be one of the more played decks now.
Maybe.
Gareth's chosen to just write Bants rather than any particular version of the deck.
Well, I imagine he was playing blue-white and thought he didn't have enough
Yeah,
threats.
I've tested with his blue-white deck, which does seem to be particularly good. It was a bit poor against Pod, which isn't much. And Chris having another spell snare for that Snapcaster. Nothing much else to use it on now. It's still 12 apiece, I think.
Gareth is attacking for 4 though, with Thrun. Resto Angel going to be flashed in. Possibly blocking? I imagine so.
Yeah, chump blocking doesn't seem particularly good right now, especially... Both players have a rev in hand at this point.
Somebody in chat just saying, so glad you got calling blue, white, red Jeskai. Yep, I just called it Jeskai a minute ago. There we go.
Cool, yeah. Sure.
Yep, Resto Angel, chump blocking front. And then Jason
Jace
take a
Architect of
thought.
Thought.
I
I
imagine
assume he's
this
going
is
to
gonna be
Fact
on
or
the
Fiction.
minus.
Yeah.
Mini Fact or Fiction. How would you split this power?
Chris doesn't particularly want to have any of these cards. The Finks is probably less important due to... Or maybe it isn't. I think Gareth chose the right pile to go for. Celestial Colonnade, with Chris having no way of removing it so far, is going to hurt quite badly. Especially with a negate for any path or what have you. There is one in hand. I think that very few targets so far this game.
All the counter spells and spot removal in the world can't help you when you're against front.
Yep, I've played blue, white, red, and I dislike that card very much.
Incredible.
I've also played Pod. I quite like it when I'm playing Pod, to be honest.
Should have played pod at this event.
Should have played Pod.
Should have played pod.
Got a comment.
Yeah, at least I did.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
So Gareth, main phase before combat,
Before you attack,
making Celestial, and
Yeah,
he's going to get
Path.
He's
And
going
that's
to
going to get negated
negate.
from the negate we
Which
saw
Chris
off
knew he had.
earlier. Jace activation. So hitting in for 8. Chris dropping down to... Oh no, it's the...
I imagine Chris did that before combat.
so game 4 and then
That would
Yeah.
have been the correct play.
So yeah, it's only going for 4.
So he's going down to 8. Chris is down to 8.
Counterflux from Chris, still not particularly useful, but also a Cleek could just chump block.
dominating you on
Pretty much just trying to buy himself time to draw the Wrath
Yeah,
of
well,
God that he might
Gareth
have
does
sideboarded
have
in.
lethal. Yeah, but even if he's got a Wrath of God, it doesn't do anything against Celestial Colonnade.
It doesn't, but you can try and path that, but the amount of counter magic and card advantage that Gareth is occurring from Jace is too damn high.
Yep. Okay.
Chris just thinking about land to play.
This doesn't seem to be going too well for Chris. I think we may see Gareth win this one 2-0, or is it too early to say?
No, the
Gideon, which
might help.
will save Chris a lot of life. So he's not dying next turn.
Buys him some more turns to try and draw the Wrath and have the counter magic to support it. It
You really
might
want
help,
both
yeah.
a Wrath and a Path to Exile, with neither of them getting countered, and then follow up with the Vendilion Cleek, which we've seen. But that's quite slim with Gareth having
At the moment,
fair
he's
few
got
cards
mana
in
for
hand.
a Wrath
Although the
and then Path to Exile.
and Counterflux, you can see that Chris is holding up Counterflux at the moment.
Yeah.
Gareth activating Celestial Colonnade again.
Yep.
Playing a Vendilion Clique, choosing to target Gareth.
Get a look at the hand.
What do you think? What do you take in this position?
The counter spells are pretty crucial, but that Sphinx is rare.
The mana
can
leaks
be countered.
it is not nearly as good at this point in the game. Garrett with Chris having at least how much mana is that?
And he's choosing to take
9 mana. Is he choosing to leave all of them?
Yeah, he chose to leave them all.
Well, the Revelation's going to get countered. The Negate isn't doing much against the Storm Breath and Counterflux in his hand. So, and the Sphinx.
Yeah, Storm Breath, the red's version of Throne, but it is.
Yeah, actually, looking at what Chris has got in hand, he can actually kill Gareth next turn.
Yes,
If
he could indeed.
Gareth tapping out,
He has 1 mana, but
he's got to block.
Chris saw that he didn't have a path.
He can deal 10 to him next turn, and if he draws a lightning bolt, then Chris is just winning. Because
Chris going for the top deck.
if Chris top decks a lightning bolt,
Did he keep him in? He might have boarded some out. I think he just.
if I was Chris, I wouldn't have left the. I would have just let. Actually, no, you can't let Gideon die, otherwise you're not going to win next turn. But
No.
with the Storm Breath, Vendilion, the Storm Breath and a Gideon, that's 10 damage next turn.
I believe that front should be tapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was Gareth, I probably would take the Clique just to get a look at Chris's hand next turn.
Which is Gareth keeping the lands?
He's taking the land.
Maybe he wants to hold up counter magic, which is pretty wise. Apart from
Oh, he does have a land off at the bottom.
So he's holding up the negate that he's got in hand, but that's going to do very little against the counterflux that Chris has got. And the mic going a bit, yeah. It's being sorted out now.
So
Stormbreath Dragon from Chris. Certainly seen that a lot in Standard, and now it seems to be making its way into Modern.
Along with his Great Pal Siege Rhino, Stormbreath.
4 damage, Gareth at 8. He untaps. The Kitchen Finks will stop him from dying next turn because it can, but I doubt that Kitchen Finks is hitting. He can't tap out for a Revelation because he knows it'll get countered.
Of the red.
Jake's Architect of Thought cuts down some of the damage you'll be taking, but this is a pretty close matchup. I thought after Gareth got the turn 4th run, very little to do, but Chris managed to manoeuvre his way into taking less damage and managing to bring out some pretty large threats in Stormbreath and Gideon.
What land is that? The one that Gareth just played, the colourless one, is
Alchemist's Refuge, which allows him to cast the next spell at instant
it
speed.
taps for a colourless, or you can play a green and a blue and tap it. The next creature or non-land.
I'm not
It grants
totally
it
sure.
I'm not sure if it's non-land or not. It's non-land or creature.
Shall I Google it?
Yeah, give it a quick look. It grants something flash. Non-land or creature for a green and blue and tapping it. I'm not sure what we'll try and use that for. Kitchen Finks and Suntitan are the only things that don't have flash. Gareth going to activate the Celestial Colonnade and swing with both at Gideon.
Yeah, killing Gideon, so he's not dying next turn unless the other Stormbreath comes out. Seems like Stormbreath is a pretty good shout for the tournament, which gotta give it to Chris. So Alchemist's Refuge indeed says next non-land that had flash, so that's essentially quick and supreme verdict.
So Gareth
Or-
passes the turn over to Chris.
Gareth
Rev
does
the
have a
draw for Chris.
Thragtusk in hand. Or not in hand, but in his deck, which could save him from dying,
Chris is going to monstrous Stormbreath Dragon.
dealing 5 damage to Gareth and 7 more in the air.
This is potentially lethal.
Yeah. Are we going to see Chris run off with this game?
Chris
Looks
has
like it.
Counterflux mana as well. He
So-
can stop anything trying to stop him. And Gareth doesn't really even have mana to stop this.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Stormbreath will be at -1 as well because of Jace.
But still,
I doubt that
with Gareth
really matters.
taking how much damage, getting punished for that card advantage, taking 6 damage and then another 6 in the air. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
game.
that's game to Chris.
Game
He
to Chris,
counters
going
with
to-
Stormbreath.
Going into game 3.
Delay your throne and draw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear Chris talking about how he managed to delay the throne long enough to win.
Wow, so yeah,
Gareth
it
isn't
was
sideboarding
definitely too
anymore.
early.
But we can see Chris moving to a sideboard, maybe putting in a Wrath of God, which you wouldn't have put in normally.
Yeah, seeing the throne, you've got to put in something.
You've got to
if you
respect the
already
throne, because if Chris hadn't had all those cryptic commands and Gideons and
haven't.
such
Now,
like...
if Gareth cast the kitchen things, would he have survived that? Because he was at 8.
I
He's
doubt
taking
it, because
6.
he would have had to tap out, so Chris would have been fine to use the counterflux, meaning that
No, I mean on his turn.
he would have had to tap out on his turn, so Chris still had the counterflux mana open then,
Who would?
so Chris would have been fine, okay, I'll counterflux
But
it.
would
You can see
Chris
he's got
counterflux the Sphinx?
the Sphinx's Revelation,
No, Sphinx.
Sphinx,
Kitchen
yeah.
Sphinx.
because Gareth only had 3 mana open, as you could
Yeah.
see, so he would have tapped out for Sphinx, had no mana up, so Chris is fine to just counterflux that, knowing that he's going to win next turn. So going to sideboards again. Wonder if there's going to be many changes.
Noble Hierarchy.
Yes, well,
Maybe
that was
switching up
it.
some cards that add separate on the draw.
You did right to force his
What do you think might be taken out? Do
I'm not too sure, but Spellsnare is a great card to try and catch up with.
you think that we might, Gareth might tap out both paths, maybe a few more scenes?
Yeah, no, you won't.
Didn't see any cliques, I don't think, that game. And Stormbreath path is not the best removal card. Swing for 4 or even 7 with a Stormbreath.
Yeah, that is true.
Hexproof guy.
I don't think there's really much else Gareth can put in. He could put in another Wrath just to try and get rid of the Stormbreath. on his
He's
own
not got
turn.
any more. He's not got any Wraths in sideboard, I don't think.
Got Wrath of
Oh, he's got
God.
1 Wrath of God, which I think you'd rather stick with the 2 Supreme Verdicts he's got in mainboard.
Just for the guy asking the question in chat, the last man's Iron Effect, Pod is banned, so is Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time, and
Golgari
Golgari
Grave
Grave Troll is unbanned.
We haven't seen any Dredge though. I've seen.
No, with the 1 week of testing, I doubted there would be any Dredge. but
Yeah,
I was
playing on
hoping for
Cockatrice, I
it.
saw 1 Dredge deck, and it lost quite terribly.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a Scavenging Ooze out, so
I was also hoping for Boggles, but you know.
I'm still thinking of playing Boggles. It seems to be quite an easy win, to be honest. Against, if you were playing Boggles against either of these decks, I can't see you being able to lose. I mean, Cryptic Command, Resto Angel, but once you get Spirit Mantle, Unflinching Courage, Daybreak Coronet, on anything with hexproof.
Chris going with the unconventional tactic of shuffling by throwing a few cards up face up.
Both mainboard cards which Gareth had already seen, so it doesn't matter too much. But is there a man leak in there?
No, there are no other counter spells apart from spell snares from bands and cryptics. Apart from the counterflux and negates in the side.
It looked slightly like a man leak which he spilled. It must have been something else.
Possibly a negate or something.
Chris has got a Restoration Angel, a Wall of Omens, some lands.
The game's anyway, mate.
Both players are keeping.
Celestial Colonnade on turn 1 from Gareth. Chris gonna go over for Strand.
Yeah. Think he'll crack it this turn.
Snapcaster looks like a Vendilion Clique. Remand in Gareth's
I
hand.
have a feeling that might
few
be my
lands.
Vendilion Click he's using there.
Possibly a Supreme Verdict or a Sphinx's Rev in Gareth's hand. I think it was a... Is he running Supreme?
He's running 2 in mainboard, yeah, so.
He might have kept a few in just for the Stormbreath.
Yeah, I remember back in the old standard I was hitting with Stormbreath and they were being 1 for 1 with Supreme Verdict. So
Chris is going to go down to 19 and fetch up a shock land, but it's going to end a tap.
Yeah, so Chris down to 19. 50 minutes left on the round. I think this game will go to a draw. I mean, they can both go long, but then also with Thrun and Storm Breath, they can also end pretty quickly.
Yeah, with Thrun and Storm Breath, it's pretty much try and play a land every turn and then play big things, see what happens.
Also, what do you think is better in this matchup? Chris Vincent's Batterskull or Gareth's Thragtusk? Do you think both of them will see play?
I feel that Batterskull will be better just because it dies less to removal.
I'm surprised there's no Batterskull in Gareth's list, to be honest, because it seems just very, very good, just to be honest. So.
No spell snare even.
Spell snare, yeah.
And Chris is going to spell
Oh, just one land.
Yeah, no, I'm going to
Gareth casting spell snare? Sorry, I wasn't watching.
I imagine I think it was a think twice. There isn't much that Gareth
Think twice. 3 mana. Is it 2?
Think twice is 2, it's free to flashback. Yeah, there's not really anything else like that. Well, not his own turn.
Go.
Wow. There we go.
There.
Everything's fixed.
Everything's-
Sorry, headphone users, RIP. Apologies.
Hype 420 YOLO, indeed, chat.
I'm trying to fix them.
Gareth is going to Gareth is going to shock himself, go down to 18 with the breeding pool, and then cast Jace, Architect of Thought.
Assuming the only thing he's going to do is fact or fiction, I doubt there's going to be giving the. Oh, it's getting
Chris is
remanded.
gonna remand. I think Gareth is
Spell snaring.
Chris may
Just yeah.
He has a spell snare, I believe, but that wouldn't help.
Doesn't want him getting the throne, but Gareth goes straight for it, ditching a Sphinx's Revelation.
Pretty obvious pick there.
Now Chris, knowing that Gareth's got a throne, has got to be quite defensive. He does have 2 Wall of Omens and a Restoration Angel, so he can hold off the throne for
He also
4
has a
turns.
tech edge as a
He doesn't-
land.
Gareth does not have double green,
Indeed.
and if he tech edges that breeding pool, he'll be quite far off.
So Chris is
casting a
thinking
throne.
about tapping 3 mana to.
Cleek, is that?
I imagine it would be a Cleek. There's nothing else with 3 mana.
I'm gonna see if he has any any green in hand before he tech edges
4
the
mana for a
breeding pool.
Resto Angel, maybe.
Yeah.
Resto Angel,
He's-
blink the Wall of Omens to draw a card.
Negate is the draw, and he plays a Tectonic Edge and passes the turn.
So he's not going to try and cut Gareth off of green,
Which I'm surprised, because if now Gareth had drawn a green mana source,
which he hadn't.
which he hasn't,
But I think the further away you get from Gareth casting that front, the happier you are.
he does. Do you think Gareth will fire off this Supreme Verdict?
While Chris is tapped out.
Well, it doesn't matter if he's tapped out or not, it can't be countered. But
Oh, the Supreme Verdict. I thought you said Sphinx. It is simply an angel and a wall,
yeah.
but I think any amount of threats.
And also, he doesn't. Chances are with Chris's deck, he's not got that many threats left in hand. So if you let him swing for 3 and keep up a load of blockers for.
Just trying to keep the Jace as high as possible so you can mini Factor Fiction every other turn from now on. It's always
So
good.
a Celestial Colonnade, a Cleek, and a Wall of Omens in hand, as well as a Negate.
Looks like he's going for the Cleek. Probably targeting Gareth.
And
2 Snapcasters, Thrun, and a Resto Angel?
what do you think you take here?
I'd probably take the Thrun.
I don't think you need to take the Thrun, to be honest. He's got the Tectonic Edge for the green source. He knows he can't cast it if you tech next turn if you tech edge the green source.
In these
And-
kind of matchups, I think it's just going to go long, like really, really long.
Not
Unless
necessarily.
this
'Cause he's
Cleek
got.
stays.
You can see that Garrett's got very little removal, and he's got a Colonnade in the Cleek. He can swing for 7 every turn from now on. So if you take the Snapcaster, or the Restoration Angel. I'd probably take the Restoration Angel in this situation. Let's see, yeah, see, it does look to be tech edging the breeding pool. Take Restoration Angel, leave Gareth with pretty much nothing that he can do much with. But do you know what's in his graveyard? The Supreme Verdict, which could be countered, which could be used
There's
again.
a Think Twice, but that has flashback by itself. You
Yeah.
can reduce it by 1 by casting a 2-mana creature, which
Well, still
doesn't make
really
much
not-
sense.
Yeah, I think you take the Restoration Angel in this situation, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think Resto Angel, tech edge the breeding pool, pass the turn.
Yeah. Then start hitting with Colonnade. I know. He's going
Taking
for the
the
front,
front.
taking the safe route.
He's going to try and play the, play safe for the long game. And he's going
play
to cast
Wall.
Wall of Elements. I believe he
Draw a
hasn't made
Counterflux. He's got a lot of removal and counter magic in hand, so
He literally pretty much just has to untap with the cards he has in hand.
yeah.
He can try and kill the Jace if Gareth doesn't plus it.
Do you think he still needs the Jace?
It depends how much Gareth wants those extra cards.
Well, he's
And it
going,
looks like he
definitely
really
going to
wants
minus it now, but
3 lands. Refuge by itself to stop the instant speed wrath there. These splits are pretty clean.
and Gareth will play the Celestial Colonnade tapped. Say go. Gareth will
Not
then have
much
all
to-
3 colonnades in play, so
Is he
Gareth
playing
only
crit?
running 3 colonnades as opposed
4.
to the 4. Maybe he just couldn't get hold of one of them.
I believe he does have 4.
No, in the deck list there's 3.
I mean, in his collection. 3 mana Cleek Chris. Half Counterflux and Negate. I have to imagine the Counterflux
Yeah.
would be taken.
Maybe the path, because does he have the mana to do something to that path?
Well, Gareth can simply Resto Angel, flicker his own Cleek, and then block Chris's Cleek with his Resto Angel. He can't do it this turn, but I doubt Gareth will mind taking 3 damage while he's at 18. Although if Chris swings at the Jace, he might want to block.
Gareth is choosing. I assume it's between path and
Take.
yeah, it's between. it's
Telling him
between
he can
path.
keep the negate.
Yeah. At this stage, Counterflux is much better than Negate.
Looks like he's giving him back the path.
So he's bottoming.
Oh.
No, he's bottoming the path.
Taking the path.
I think. Does Gareth? Maybe he just wants the Celestial Colonnades not to get killed off, or if he does have a. Does he have a Restoration Angel in hand?
Gareth does.
Yeah. They are very similar decks at the moment. I'm not
So it all
sure.
depends. Your chat is so punny. So many fast splits.
Yeah.
Be a ballerina. Kappa makes it. Chris just thinking about what he's going to be doing with his turn. It looks like this land was his draw.
So it's almost timed
no,
around,
but-
as we hear from Alex Roebuck, head judge, it's almost timed around for everything else. But these have a time extension, so they've got 6 minutes.
So that's Cryptic and Mountain, one of which was from the V-Click, one of them was from his draw step.
So with them knowing there's not much left in the round, do you think it's going to change their play?
I imagine Chris is still going to
They really don't want to get a draw,
at the Jace.
and they don't want to drop into 3-1-1 and both have to be forced to win their next round. So I'm assuming they do definitely not want this draw. What do you think was Chris casting?
He has a Cryptic, he might bounce.
Or is he just activating? I think he's activating Celestial Colonnade.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe he is going for a more aggressive route. Does he know? He knows a lot of what's in Garrett's hand off these fact or fictions, so. Is he swinging with the clique or just the colonnade?
I'd have to imagine both.
Both. Offering the trade clique
At
for
Jace. Both of them at Jace.
clique. Yeah, Jace. He's just gonna let Jace
No
die.
blocks. He's going to die anyway. There's not really much point in blocking unless you're really interested in getting rid of his clique.
This is why I still think you should have taken the Restoration Angel rather than the Thrun, because you see Garrett still has one green source, while he always has a man to cast this Restoration Angel, which
Chris is
can
going to go down to 16.
get extra value off the clique. Ooh, Flooded Strand. Restoration Angel bounce clique, targeting Chris. Cryptic Command, Counterflux, Negate.
Chris is at 16.
16, sorry, thank you.
I know it's a control matchup, but
Yeah.
try not to fall asleep.
Come on, the life hasn't changed for 10 minutes.
It looks like the clique took a
Counterflux.
Spell
Spellskite.
I will respond, I think.
And the card drawn, the card that Chris drew was a Path. So is he going to respond by pathing the Restoration Angel? Yeah, yes, he is.
Now, is Gareth going to pay the Phyrexian mana to redirect
Well,
it?
if he does it in response to the Spellskite, then you can't redirect it.
Oh, he did it in response. Still was on the stack. You can't say you don't get your money's worth in this matchup.
Look, some paint drying.
I find it quite interesting, to be honest. I think it's really clever what's going on. Like,
You have
you might
to
not be able to
think-
understand it because neither. Another negate. Yeah, it's just a
Scalding
land
Town is the
from
draw.
Chris. Is he gonna play it? Yep.
There's not much point in holding lands. There's always that classic trope of holding lands.
Chris does have particularly sexy hands, yes.
Break trap. Yeah, I think this game is just going to go to time now.
People are saying Emrakul can't be countered. It can be remanded, apart from you. It doesn't go back into the hand, but you still draw the card. Remember that.
Value?
I think Garrett's gone down to 17. That you can win a game off that if they're on 3 life. Remanding an Emrakul to draw a ball.
Value. Alright, Chris is going to pass the turn. Gareth is going to untap.
14, 17, so Gareth's on 17.
And Chris is at 14 left.
Is that after the fetch from Gareth just now? Yeah. I think we're just a couple short on Chris's.
Gareth's going to swing him again. Chris is going to block.
And I think he's going to be restoed.
Yeah, Gareth moving the mana over.
And this Restoration Angel
Possibly a cryptic command.
probably
from
going to be
Chris.
cryptic. But if... And then if he does, he's got the negate for any counter spells that Gareth might have. So yeah, I doubt this Restoration Angel is hitting the battlefield.
Got to imagine it's counter draw.
Yeah. Snapcaster Mage. That resolves and whatever counter spell he hits is just going to be negated.
Yeah, remand. It's going to get negated.
So this is counting. This is counting.
All the lasers are firing. Chris going to draw a card from the cryptic. And that's combat. Main phase 2. It's going to crank the scoring time, so possibly
So Chris is down to 13. Yeah,
he's going to get a shock land but tapped. So he's not going to try and hold up Tectonic Age or fake out a 2-mana spell. What was the draw for Chris?
Well, he hasn't drawn yet. He's just about to pass to his in Garrett's end step right now at the moment. I think the only card left in hand is a
Wall of Omens. What he drew from the cryptic.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So what for the 17?
So just more cards and
You're on 17.
And you're on 13.
less chance of that Snapcaster dealing any damage.
Just some HP
I'm
confirmation.
almost certain he's going to go to time.
Wall of Omens.
Unless there's a...
Banefire.
See, what he hopes for is a Storm Breath Dragon off the top. Which he didn't hit.
Miracles the land.
That countdown may not be accurate to estimate.
You can't, yeah.
Do you think he's going to activate the Colonnade? Nope.
Draw a card. Alright, so that's your Colonnade going to be made into a
Activated.
Flying Vigilance 4/4.
I think Chris wants to just trade Colonnade for Colonnade. And it's tech edging the Colonnade.
Value. Oh, they're already on time. It's turn 2. They've got a dice at the bottom.
Yep. So, pretty sure it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, pass the turn, turn 4.
It's Gareth's last turn. Can deal 13 damage. Nope.
Activate Colonnade, swing for 4. Does it magically become 13? Chris blocks with his Colonnade.
So, he's not dealing much damage.
Passes the turn.
It
Chris
is
is
a
on his turn.
Storm Breath Dragon, but that's not going to be enough.
How many cards? 3 cards in Gareth's hand. Storm Breath. Swing for 4.
Take 4.
4 damage.
Gareth goes down to 13. It's 13.
Yep,
13.
it's a 1-1 draw.
And that's a 1-1 draw with both players on 13.
Yeah.
So the control mirror very much being the mirror there. 13 health each. It ends in 1-1. They're
Still,
both 3-1-1-1.
I think that was well played from both of them.
I think I messed up that second one.
Well, yeah, you should have won it, but I got quite lucky towards the end.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I thought it was dead from when you played it.
Yeah.
The deck has
Just a
literally
bit of
everything.
post-match
Yeah.
talk between the players.
Do you put lands or something? Or?
No, I'm on 28. You up, pal?
Yeah, it was a draw. We're better.
3-1-1.
Oh, was that round a draw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. So you both have to win your next round.
Yeah, basically, yeah. No, I just have I have 25 lands.
Yeah.
Or 24 lands.
24, that's insane.
We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be back shortly.
Well, the thing is, like, if I've got 2 lands in hand and I think twice, I can draw into stuff like quite easily.
Yeah, but you want to avoid what happened to me happening
Yeah,
in a game.
true.
And
Yeah.
like, I've got 26 lands.
Yeah, true.
But I
1-1.
yeah, I just boarded into like some slightly more proactive stuff, but even then,
Yeah.
yeah, the bolt's not going to do anything.
No.
Like, I might be able to get you, but probably not.
I've just brought out all the man links on the path. 2 paths. I like the paths just for the Colonnade in case I don't have tech edges and stuff, but I'm the odd angel here and then.
Right. Best of luck in your last round.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we both.
Hope we win. Yeah, well.
Well, to be
it's
fair, if we
fine.
both win, then that's going to probably screw us chances.
No, not necessarily. No, I think it's better because we improve each other's tiebreakers,
Yeah.
and it's less likely that we're the guys that lose out.
Well, at least I drew to a fellow Leeds player.
Yeah.